Dude, the young man spent 6 months at school and time went fairly cut out. For the big fish tonight. He's live streaming this scene to the white-haired guy in the room. The young man looks impatient on the surface. He's really about to sleep with this possible killer of his bride. At the crucial moment, a server suddenly bursts through the door. Before leaving, he smiles and says to the man, then planted a kiss on the other's cheek. After Jiang Rang touches the spot that was his calm eyes hide a hint of surprise. Meanwhile, in another private room, Zhou angrily pins the white-haired guy against the wall. You knew I prepared for so long, just so I could go home with him tonight. Do you know how much I sacrificed to get close to him? Gaze sweeps over the young man's swollen and disheveled clothes. He touches the other's lips with his fingertip and asks. Ye Qingzhou turns his head to avoid his hand. What else? I'm doing this for real. As soon as he finishes speaking, the white-haired guy forcefully pulls him into his arms. After all, I taught you everything. The young barged into the white-haired guy's room despite the bodyguard's attempts to stop him. He asked him to train him to become the top host at night. Nightshade. Ye Qingzhou now. Ye Qingzhou, who exists only for Jiang Rang. Qi Jiaheng takes Anning's hand and places it on his own cheek. I'm a bit jealous of my brother. Anning doesn't want to stay long and turns to say he's gonna find rest. Maybe he's still at Nightshade and hasn't left. Qi Jiaheng's jealousy finally explodes. He grabs Anning's head. He asks about the kiss between him and his brother. Anning wipes his lips with his sleeve. I don't like it. Jiang Rang has already got in the car to go back. The driver asks if he met that boy who used to hang around with your brother. Jiang Rang glances at Nightshade's side. He says coldly, just a frivolous and ordinary playfellow. Mr. Rang has always lived on the top floor of his family's hotel. The receptionist opens the documents and hands them to him. Another receptionist quickly pushes her aside and turns the documents face down. Sorry, Mr. Jiang, she's new here. Jiang Rang says it's fine. After paying, he turns toward the elevator. The new receptionist thinks this is odd. Isn't Jiang Rang the hotel owner's son? He has to pay to stay at his own bum's. And why can't he? She pesters her colleague. The colleague explains helplessly that Mr. can't sign because he can't rent taxi. It's some kind of condition. The words turn into jumping symbols. It causes severe mental stress and triggers Margaret. Rang Rang returns to the hotel's top floor, clutching his aching head. To be scheduled appointment with a psychologist today. Miss Ma from the clinic called 5 times looking for her. While undressing, Jiang Rang says call her back tomorrow. The face of that top host in the next room naturally pops into his mind. And when he had physical contact with the guy, he didn't feel repulsed. Thinking about this, he chuckles and shakes his head. He doesn't want her. The young man who schemed so hard to hook this the next day pretends not to know. Because at Nightshade he's the top host Ye Qingzhou. But at school, he's just student Anning. Continuing from before, Anning sits lost in thought on the campus. He got Jiang Rang's phone number from K. Jieheng, but can't find a good reason to contact her. Calling out of the blue might just annoy him. Anning looks up, startled. It's the orange-haired upperclassman sits down, asking what he's thinking about so intently. Anning gives a vague answer, saying he can't exactly tell the upperclassman. He's racking his brains trying to figure out how to seduce. The upperclassman's attention is drawn to the back of Anning's hair. Did you dye your hair? Why is it light brown? He covers his hair and jumps up, saying he needs to go to the restroom to fix it, then runs off in panic. The upperclassman watches Anning's retreating figure with concern. He feels like Anning has become a different person. Anning wipes off the hair dye with tissue in the restroom. At Nightshade, he's Ye Qingzhou. Only when he takes off his disguise, he can't let Jiang Rang discover the secret. But Jiang Rang appears in front of him just like that, catching him off guard. He's so panicked his soul. Why would Jiang Rang be? Did he find out about the deception and come to confront? Thinking it over, that seems impossible. Even if he investigated Ye Qingzhou, and he thinks he should just act normal and leave quickly. He turns around, only to see the other person handing him a tissue. When taking the tissue, he accidentally touches Jiang and ranking书. This scene wasn't caught by Anning as he quickly turned away. Looking at the retreating, he's shocked that he had no rejection reaction. Anning rushes out of the restroom, immediately pulls out his phone to call Why is your brother at our school? Why didn't you tell me in advance? Did you arrange for him to come expose my identity? Qi Jiaheng sits sick. I called you over 10 times this morning and you rejected. How could I not want to tell you? He calls a couple times to clear his throat. Hot water and fever medicine sit on the table. Urges him to cover the back. Just tell me why your brother came to school. That new building at your school. Jiang Rang's dad needed. Anning thinks to himself, that's your dad. It's just a political show. Going through the motions. You don't need to worry too much. Those calls were to warn you. You keep saying your brother. You don't even ask Ro and after we separated last night. Or what I did. Before he can finish complaining, the phone line goes dead. Qi Jiaheng falls back onto the bed. He feels ridiculous being so jealous right now. Whether it's Ye Qingzhou or Anning, they're just tools he's using to get revenge on their family. He absolutely cannot fall. Jiang Rang finds Anning around the corner in the hallway. But he doesn't know how to start, so he asks for his name first. Has Ye Qingzhou been exposed? He suddenly smiles and touches his ear. Don't you think it's weird for you to hit on a guy? He even followed me from the back door. He might have the wrong idea. He thinks this will throw him off. He moves closer and reaches out to touch us. The next second, the upperclassman rushes over and knocks Jiang Rang's hand away. He glares and says, who's making my Anning look so troubled? Anning grits his teeth looking at the upperclassman. Thanks a lot for saying my name so clearly. The upperclassman grins. Don't praise me like that. He notices the man leaning against the wall in pain. The upperclassman runs to him. I just touched you once, it's not that serious, right? Are you feeling sick? The file Anning got from K. Jieheng about Jiang Rang 6 months. Only had a few simple. On leave from school. Reading disorder. He's your brother. Don't you have more information? Qi Jiaheng says coldly. I'm not close with that family. Anning remembers that night at Nightshade when he flirted with Jiang Rang. The guy actually pulled his hand back and then looked at the back of his head with a confused expression. Combined with the current situation, he suddenly realized big fish wasn't unwilling to take the bait. Anning quietly smirks with satisfaction. Anning thought he had Jiang Rang figured out until he stands in front of Jiang Rang again as Ye Qingzhi. He realizes it might not be that simple. His eyes study Jiang Rang in the distance with interest, thinking the real reason for leave from school might be related to his aversion to human contact. But that doesn't need to be hidden from the public to this extent. There must be some unspeakable secret behind. The interviewing reporter suggests Jiang Rang and the Dean shake hands for their magazine cover for Barrett. He says just photograph. Anning finds this extremely. He can't touch anyone else, but he can touch him. The upperclassman sitting watches Anning enjoying his ice cream. How did he never notice? Right then Anning pulls out his phone and sends Zheng Ra. Right after sending it, he hears the upperclassman say, "And then seeing you smile in a long time." He immediately puts on the happy act. A smile all the time. Meanwhile, Jiang Rang pulls out his phone to check the text. "Do you still remember me? When are you coming to collect the rest of your payment?" This reminds him of the boy he met at night shift, who gave him a kiss on the cheek as a down payment. In the afternoon classroom, Anning keeps staring. Finally gets a reply. Anning smiles, remembering the upperclassman saying he looked happy this afternoon. Facing the possible killer of his floor. That evening, Anning changes into the outfit he wears and arrives at the meeting place. This entire floor has been ripped by Mr. Thinking about how this whole building belongs to the Jiang family makes Anning furious. A pianist is performing atmospheric music. He sees a man in an exquisite suit. His handsome profile. And those questioning eyes asking, "Why aren't you coming over?" All of it attracts him, making his body want to move closer. He feels strange about himself and starts to wonder if he really is the one pursuing him. This provokes Jiang Rang to roughly grab his head. Jiang falls for this trick. Continuing from before, Jiang Rang's perfect face and his handmade leather shoes make Anning feel like this person is constantly reminding two different worlds. But is that necessary? Anning angrily grabs the water on the table and chugs most of it. He really wants to tear off person's fake right now. A year ago, Anning tried to stop his brother from going. Could. Bro, why do you have to work at that kind of place? Did someone force you to sign a contract? He says mockingly, "Nobody forced me." My tail. Anning doesn't believe him. He thinks his brother is lying. His brother to his. He thinks his brother must be doing this for him. But when he bursts into the sees his brother posing seductively for clients, completely absorbed. Here there wasn't lie. The surrounding clients quickly gather around him. Look how you scared this kid. Anning will never forget that cold stare. Security. Jiang Rang, who's ordering food, looks up at the sudden slapping sound. He says with a grin, "Mr. Jiang, that face is too damn." Just now my mind was filled with really inappropriate images. Jiang Rang puts down the menu expressionlessly. Under the table, Anning's toes start teasing Jiang Rang. "I want to sweep everything off this table while you grab my neck and roughly pin me down on the table and take me hard." Pulling down. His hand gestures are highly suggestive. He glances at the pianist performing. "Can't you make it her league mission? I want this place to belong to just the two of us." Cut. He pushes his chest, strides over and grabs Anning's head with one hand. Could. Does Jiang fall for this trick? Anning grins up at him playfully. Guess an innocent college guy gets dragged into a brotherly feud. He thinks he's found his brother's killer. But it's all lies made up by Jiang. A few hours ago, Jiang Rang went to a private clinic. He tells his doctor Gu Yixing about what happened these past 2 days. You think because you didn't have a rejection reaction to touching a male escort and another innocent college guy that you're cured. So you happily came to this, only to find out you're still sick. He can't help but burst out laughing. Kuda. After laughing for a while, suddenly says, "I think this is good news. Why don't you pick one of them?" You know your dad gave you a 1-year deadline, right? If you can't go back to inherit the family business by winter, I'll be in a very awkward position as you. Gang Rang says coldly, "That's clearly the deadline for you to cure me up." Then he pulls out his simple drawings. Rang doesn't want to deal with him and gets up to leave. Gu Yixing says behind him, "You know what kind of person your dad should know best. His patience won't last just because you're the more obedient. If you don't change everything that belongs to you, will eventually be taken by Jiang." Zhang Rang asks what really belongs to me anyway. Gu Yixing seems to think of something. Walkins as he says sorry. Then asks, "Does your back so hurt?" Jiang Rang hums and unconsciously touches his left shoulder with his right hand. Those twisted scars constantly remind him that some wounds from the past will never heal. Gu Yixing doesn't know how to comfort Jiang Rang.